Yeah, like I said, good afternoon. My name is Frank. I'm a security officer for a company called Schubert Phyllis, and we've unfortunately chosen our house style to be white on black, so sorry for that. I work in security now since 2000 officially, and I'm the author of a tool called Seccubus.
My name is Cate. I'm a mission critical engineer at Schubert Phyllis, the security dude there, and I'm also the author of the security knowledge framework.
Yeah, and today we want to talk to you about automated vulnerability scanning, automated security assessment, and why would we want to do that? Why did we create a tool for it? Well, the tool was created partly out of frustration. I really felt that the tools I had did not fit what I needed to do. Then I also got challenged by somebody to make it better, and that's really always a good button to push at me. And like I said, I wanted to make my life easier. So I want to start off with a little demonstration, and I want to introduce two other fellows who may look familiar, but you may not know. On your left-hand side, we got Breedijk and Secubus, and they both been given a task by their management. It's like, we need to get this security shit in order, so you need to scan everything you have every 2 weeks. So Secubus is a classical guy, so he goes for a classical approach. He buys or he gets a scanner, and in this case I've got Nessus and OpenVAS there, but we'll do the demo with Nessus, but it can be anything else. And in order to do that, it means he has to get up really, really early. And this is what it felt like when I got up this morning, by the way. Then he needs to go and start the scanner in the maintenance window, because these tools might not be production safe. Wait for it to finish, and then when it's finished, he does his analysis. And he uses the really advanced tools of printing out reports, scratching things out with pencil, highlighter, typing a report, and a lot of Red Bull to make up for the bad night he had. And why is it a problem to work in this way? Well, most security tools seem to be written for security consultants. And some of you may be security consultants, some of you may not be security consultants, but I'm an ops guy. I don't get judged by how thick a report I give on somebody's desk. I'm judged by keeping this stuff secure. And scanners, yeah, they make a trade-off between false positives and false negatives, and they tend to err on the side of caution, where they say, well, we want you to know about everything, even if it may not be true, because we don't want to leave stuff in there that you are exposed but we're not telling you about. And that means that they produce an awful lot of output. It takes a lot of time to scan, and it's often poorly automated. And this is a plea to everybody who runs, designs, or owns a security tool. Please, please, please put your functionality in an API as well. If I can do it via the GUI, if I can do it via the command line, please let me do it via an API as well. So, the smarter person here, just to check, did you start the scan yet?
Yes.
Cool. Is Breedijk, and Breedijk decides to use Secubus, and so he spends his morning doing some configuration work, and Glenn's going to show us how.
So here you have an overview of the Secubus interface. In here you have the manage scan. So first you create a workspace, and on the workspace you can add multiple different type of scanning. So for the example, I'm going to choose the Nessus. As you can see, we do support a lot of open source or paid tools. So let's select demo. Fill in the parameters that's necessary for the scanner to work, and of course give a location what to scan. And now we create the scan.
And there the demonstration effect kicks in. So he spends his morning configuring his scanner, maybe doing a little trial run. Then he goes home, relaxes a little bit, takes some beer, and the scanner runs at night, because you can run the scan via the command line, so you can hook it up to the cron tab. And then when he wakes up in the morning, he goes in and he analyzes and remediates his findings. And that's, let's see if the scan's finished and if we can do some analysis.
Cool. So let's have a small peek. So I already started the scan for the sake of the demo. So we now have results into the Secubus. So when we go here, it was. So as you can see here, we have an overview of the findings. We can also use the filtering up here to select the different kind of ports in this example that we have findings on. So if we go to the 21 port, you can see that we have well, it seems like we have an issue. Don't we, Frank? It seems like anonymous FTP is enabled. That's against our security policy, right?
I don't know. Ask your security officer. Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay,
it's against policy.
So what we want to do now is to follow it up so we can open the finding. Here we have a detailed information about what the finding is. Well, we just discussed we want to fix this, so please fix. And I will put it to the status open. That is really the status where we care about, and that's where all the good stuff is in, and we want to mitigate. So I set this one to open. Well, there were also some other issues. So as you can see here, I can go through them like this, or use the overview. Well, this is only port 21, so let's continue the analysis. We also had port 80 that had some issues. Oh, and here you go. You see a track and trace. So it's not a real issue, but it's not very nice. So we also want to fix this one.
Well, I think only elite hackers like Aluk can abuse that one still.
Exactly. So let's do it again. Please fix and move it to the open state. So as you all know, and when you work a lot of with security tooling, you get a lot of noise. These are the findings, for example, that are really noisy. They're just like informational most of the time. And yeah, we really don't care about it. It's like, ooh, port 80 is open. Yeah, I don't see any issue with that. So you can select manually one at a time and put it to the no issue, or you can select them all. Well, I done the analysis. It's all like, I don't care. I set it to no issue. And now I have done the analysis and can start mitigating.
Yeah, so switch back to the present. Yeah, so what we had was the analysis process. So what happened in the background was we had the do scan command that we issued. It called a little script that calls the scanner. In this case, it communicated over the network with the Nessus scanner, retrieved the output, converted it into an intermediate format. With that intermediate format, that was loaded by a universal load evil into the database where it's actually stored and you can do this stuff. So in the analysis, you saw that Glenn was really helped by the status already, because when new findings are discovered for the first time, they get the status new. And then as a human, you get to decide whether or not you put these findings in open, stuff I care about, no issue, stuff I don't really care about. And then if you change your mind, you can switch things around. So really the tool is about trying to balance the work remediation effort. And yeah, let's remediate.
Okay, cool. I will remediate. So if it was like easy like this, right? We could do more relax, but so I already remediate the issue, so I will start the scan again.
So if we take Glenn's usual pace, we're now 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks are over and we need to rescan, and we need to see if we fix this correctly. So Celulus again breaks out his regular scanner, wakes up too early, gets the little square things on his face, sleeps it off, and is really needs to look at a report again. And as he's reading and going through the report and going through the findings, something's sneaking up on him. It's like, I've seen this shit before. But you have to be really careful, because The scan report of last week, 2 weeks ago, and the scan report of now looks a lot like, but there's 5 small differences in there. So is it really worth to go through the entire report? Well, BRideLad has a different idea. He's already done all the setup, so he just goes home. Relaxes a bit, sleeps, wakes up, and in the morning he can do the analysis. And let's see if it's finished already.
Yes. Oh, just
as
on
we
spot. Alrighty.
Great timing there.
So let's go to the web GUI. So let me clear the filter first so we get all the findings. As you can see, we had issues in the open section, but they're all gone because I correctly remediate the issues. So when you go to the Gone tab, you will see all the items. So I correctly mitigated the anonymous FTP access. Also the track and trace. All those findings in here are gone. They're not findable anymore. But what can happen when you, well, you all know that when you create and mitigate or fixing issues, there is always a chance that new issues can arise. So when we have a look at this.
Well, let's look at the change stuff first.
Okay. So let's have a look. Exactly. So we did first had an information finding about the header information. And there weren't very detailed information about the Apache version and the PHP version. But when we did rescan it, I introduced this new vulnerability. So it got the state changed. Now I need to manually assess it and say, oh, this is really what I don't want, or this is just an informational thingy or a false positive. Well, in case of this one, this issue, I don't really like it. It's not nice. So I'm going to take this please fix. I'm going to put it to the set to open. So again, I have a finding I need to fix.
And then the other ones, I guess you can mark these other ones as no issue, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just like you did the previous time.
Exactly. So they're only informational, so I don't want to be bothered again with those. So I set them to no issue. So they're gone from my to-do list. Well, we also have the new findings, the PHP version finding that's new because, yeah, the scanner did not know, wasn't aware of PHP be running on it, but because I introduced the vulnerability saying, hey, I'm running PHP, we get a new item from Nessus saying, hey, this is a finding. But again, when we go in more depth, it's just only an informational thingy, not really an issue. So again, I select them all and set them to no issue.
Okay, so I guess you better fix this as well.
Yeah, let's do that. So going back to the terminal, I'm gonna fix the issue I introduced. So make to go. So I correctly fixed the issue. I'm going back. Start this one.
So that never happens to you, right? That you fix one thing and then the other thing, something else breaks. That's a highly unlikely hypothetical situation. But yeah, so we had the previous state and we saw 2 new ones being introduced, changed and gone. So if something was okay in the past, but now the output changed, well, you probably want to have a look at it. If something was no issue in the past and it's now changed, you might want to have a look at it. The other thing is, and the white arrows are things the system does for you, is when things go away. If things are in new, open, or no issue and they're not in the scan anymore, they'll go to gone. And obviously, if they're gone in the past, but they reappear, they go to new again. There's another state that's called closed. Closed means something like it's gone, but I'm happy that it's gone, so you can move it there. And then the system, if it refines it again, it will put it back to new. And then obviously you got in Nessus, you got findings like, ooh, I Nessus 12.3.5, and it tells you for every host. And you got a special category for that. It's called masked, where you put things in, and as long as they're in masked, they will never ever go to another status unless you manually put them back into new. So the whole idea behind it, if it's okay, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Go sit on the beach and enjoy. So typical remediation time, 2 weeks. See Lulus. Well, those who don't learn from their mistakes are forced to repeat them. So he does it all over again. BRightLed does it all over again as well, but for him it's just driving home, relaxing, playing a bit of pinball, waiting for the scanner to finish while he sleeps. And then when you wake up in the morning, you can go and do your final analysis. And as Glenn returns to the screen, you'll probably see that that last thing he had was fixed as well.
Let me also check if yeah. So let's have a look at the gone. So we fixed the anonymous. We fixed the track and trace. And let's have a look.
We'll change this, probably the new.
Exactly. So now, again, it was already an issue and finding before, but again, the content of the header changed. So it's a changed finding. And as you can see, it's now correctly being set to serve tokens production. So it's not leaking any information about PHP or Apache. So we correctly solved it.
So let's go to the slides again.
Yep.
So what's in a name? Why is this called Secubus such a complex name? Well, it's a name of it's related to the name of a demon, and this demon is the Secubus, and the Secubus kills young virile guys like Glenn by coming in at night while they sleep and having sex with them, over and over and over again, and at some point it will wear you down. Now the Secubus has a male cousin that's the Insecubus. And it wears security operations people down by keep having to have those vulnerabilities and keep getting them into your infrastructure over and over again, and you want to move on. And then you got the Secubus, and Secubus' live mission is to wear vulnerabilities and weaknesses in your infrastructure down by putting them into the face of operations people to make sure they actually fix their shit. So, in recap, why would you use Secubus? Why would you use automation like this as well? If you do a monthly scan, you have to get up. You can schedule that, but you can schedule them. Only those findings that need your attention will get it. Less errors because there's less repetitive, boring work. And the amount of effort is proportional to the amount of changes. And that means that if you have more changes on your network, you probably have more risk on your network as well. So by creatively comparing findings, you can really cut the fat out of the analysis process. Now, I was here before. I was here 6 years ago talking about a tool called AutoNessus, which we then renamed. And back then, I had an ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal for Secubus was to be the hub of all our vulnerability scanning tools and give it one workflow, one place to manage this. Well, it has evolved. Like I said, it's gotten a new name here at Confidence last time I was here. And since then, we've added a few scanners. So you can now just do a little bit more than just Nessus and OpenVAS. We rewrote the GUI because it really didn't look nice. With this beamer, it still doesn't look nice, so I hope you forgive me, but it's really improved already. And we introduced EVIL. And EVIL stands for the Intermediate Vulnerability Information Language, and it's a tool to make vulnerability scanners understand each other and make tools understand what comes out of vulnerability scanners. Now, some of you may be familiar with ASCAP, and ASCAP tries to do the same thing, but the thing is ASCAP tries to be too clever. It tries to capture and fit every corner case that you can have for dealing with vulnerability information, and therefore it has a specification of 63 pages. I wanted something that was simple to read, simple to write, simple to use. It was an open format, so it's licensed under the MIT license, and it makes it really easy to integrate stuff. Now, as I said, 6 years ago I was here. In 6 years, a lot of things can happen. Look at my kids, but also Glenn joined our organization, and he thought in other ways to use the tool. So,
yeah. So, well, I joined Schulberg Phyllis like almost 2 years ago, and yeah, my main focus is web application security. Well, and I said to Frank, let's implement this into our own pipeline and use it in Secubus. Add more tooling to it, and also for a web application. And why do we want this? Well, what I've seen on my experience is that all the attackers are moving from the network layer and the infrastructure layer to the web application layer, the layer 7. And because of that, we need more tools to help and support us. And yeah, with Secubus, that's the real cool thing, yeah, to put it in. So, and also I'm only one guy. A man, so it's really hard to clone me or share the knowledge.
It's really slow.
Yeah,
and not.
It takes
exact.
like 20 years, and you don't get the exact copy. Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, and we really want to integrate it in our continuous delivery process. So what I did was the first win, SkipFish. So the guy is Skip, and what he's holding is fish. Yeah, no, it's SkipFish. It's an open source tool from Google. It's very noisy. It's not very subtle. So it's also not production safe. I did find that out myself.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So. But again, very useful. The first web application scanner that was implemented in Secubus. So the next thing I did was the second win, the OWASP sub proxy. Really like OWASP. Also, yeah, open source. Try to help the people. It's like Burp, but free, as in speech. Actively developed and maintained, and it's a OWASP flagship project. To give you an example on how to start a ZOP scan, is real. So first I'm going to show you the manage scan. I create new scan. I say ZOP. I select the ZOP scanner. Well, here you can put in the options. So ZOP supports session, cookies. You can put them in there. You select the host you want to attack.
That's probably not going to work.
Oh, no. That's one.
That's IPv12.
So you get the point, you create the scan. Oh, and of course you need to fill in.
That's a bug. I need to put that in the bug trigger.
Will do. So we go to the, normally this is like Frank told in the cron tab, it will be run automatically. So I'm doing it now just for the sake of the demo. And then you can go to the findings, and here you have the ZOP findings. Let me select the correct one. So and as you can see, in here we have, well, new findings that ZOP discovered, and we need to, well, address them. Just to give an example. So, yeah, I was very busy with the automating tooling and implement that into Secubus, but I also wanted to get closer in the feedback loop. To help developers and not coming in a very late process and telling them, hey, this, you should do it like that, or yeah, the loop was too big. So I wanted to help developers writing better and secure code. So that's why I started like a year almost ago the security knowledge framework, where we try to capture all those information. So it puts the developer in the state to create security by design. And that's the post-development phase, how we call it in security knowledge framework. In the post-development phase, the developer can select the type of functionality he wants to start creating. And based on the type of functionality, the tool can assess what type of vulnerabilities can arise when creating that type of functionality.
So that's functionality like I want to upload a file, or I want to do an e-banking transaction, or I want to use PHP, or I want to write my shell script. I want my CGI, write my CGI scripts in shell, and in that case, you'll be shot.
Yes. So that's the pre-development phase where you can really do secure by design, and we also have the post-development phase. And in there, so you already created the code, and you have a sort of a checklist. We use the OWASP Application Security Verification Standard. So that means that if you're going to implement the level 3 items, you talk about 160 security controls that you need to implement as a developer to protect your application against attackers. So we use the checklist as a sort of an expert system expert, where basically on questions, it will correlate again the vulnerabilities and present them to the developer saying, oh, you said no to this checklist item. That means that an attacker can do this, this, and this. And the solution is on how to approach it, to create it secure. So it's really fresh. It's just adopted by OWASP. So if people want to join or help or improve, please let me know. We can use the help. And on that same road.
Yeah, as any open source project, this is not something we do to sell off. This is something that we do to say thank you to the community. We do it in our free hours. We do it in our spare time. We do it when our kids are sleeping. That sort of time is what we use for open source projects. So we can really need really need help, all the help we can get. If you can code in Perl or Angular, or if you can code period, we probably can use your help in integrating more tools. We need your feedback on what stuff you need to be added to this, what functionality do you need to add it, because if we've got a database with vulnerabilities, there's plenty of more you can do than just the workflow automation. We need people to test, to actually verify that if the crack we were smoking while we were doing this was actually good crack or bad crack. And we need people to help us document and people to use this. I mean, in the end, we do this because we want people to have useful tooling. We want to make your life better. And yeah, if people are not using the tool, then we've done it for naught. I want to address a little bit the roadmap that we have for Secubus at the moment. Well, we're currently in the process of rewriting the user interface, and the developer that's doing that, it's finally somebody said, Frank, this doesn't look good, please move over, and it's like hands off, I'll go. So we're rewriting it in Angular to make it more smooth. The timeline on that is real soon now. We were hoping to release it, didn't make that deadline, unfortunately. We want to add functionality so you can go into the GUI and actually schedule and click and start your scans there, and through an API, obviously. Integrate it with the security knowledge framework so that you can actually get the findings out, but also tell you this is in the security knowledge framework where you need to go to find the right pattern instead of the anti-pattern. We want to add user rights management in there so that you can actually say, these are the people that are allowed to view this workspace, these are the people that are allowed to edit a workspace. Some sort of issue tracking in there, although I prefer not to rewrite something like Jira. And some sort of reporting. And then, yeah, I'm still looking for feedback. Do we need to add more in there? What other people do? And the ultimate feedback is obviously a pull request. So, talking about the new user interface, this is the first time I'm going to publicly give a sneak peek at what it will look like. And these are real functional screens, just not all functions have been implemented. So this is the main screen where it does a version check and checks the configuration. This is the scan setup screen, and now you can see I'm not really a front-end developer because the guys make it look a lot better. And this is what the finding screen will look like. And obviously those filtering capacities we had there, yeah, we still need to extend them. Yeah, and with that, I'm starting to approach the end of what I have to say and a message I have to bring. We could do a little bit more demos or anything, but for now, it's questions. Anybody? So in the back. Sorry, I'm having a really hard time.
We do.
Yeah, we have.
Second question, while testing, while running OWASP ZAP test, you type some password. What is it, like an encryption for the data, or?
It's a bug.
So
it should hide there.
It's only needed for a tool like Nessus because it uses the API and needs to use the password, but it's also, yeah, doing it on the other scans. But yeah, like Frank said, it's...
Okay, because like most of scanner results are sensitive data, and...
Yeah. So there is authentication in the Secubus GUI. I'm a bit ashamed to say that it still depends on the server framework, so it's either basic auth or something else you've set up at the server level. But there is the possibility to run authentication, only give certain people access. For the demo, that was a bit too steep. Okay, any other questions that you might have? So yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then,
because Secubus is also for vulnerability management, yes? So can you integrate the manual penetration testing results into this tool?
not at the moment, because there's nothing to convert to IVIL. So it's really aimed at tooling. But it's definitely something that's probably doable if you're looking for something to automate your report writing. But it's not what we focus on. We really make a distinction in the company between the manual test and the automated test. And before I call in a security expert to do extended testing on a platform, I want anything that I can find myself with a scanner to be out of there. I mean, let's not waste you guys' time. Let's really do the first steps properly ourselves. Okay.
How do you deal with changes in systems which are to the positive? For example, you scan a system and you get certain vulnerabilities, and without you guys knowing, somebody then installs patches, and you scan again, and some of the issues you found the first time will go away. Do you have a sort of positive delta where you can sort of say, oh, this system has now changed for the better because it used to have 7 vulnerabilities and now it only has 2 or something?
So it's not about vulnerabilities, it's about findings.
Okay.
And I find, if I find something, it might be beautiful or it might be ugly. The tool doesn't care about whether it's beautiful or ugly. The tool cares about that you found something and that something has changed. And so a lot of these tools that you have out there in the marketplace, they're elevator pitches, buy my tool and you can fire the security guy. And this is not what this tool is about, because I think you can't, in the end, you can't replace human intelligence behind the keyboard. You really need to have human intelligence looking at that finding, but then if you got like a well-paid, overworked, understaffed security department, you don't need to bother them with a scanner that goes, ooh, port 80 is open. Ooh, you know what, it's a web server. Ooh, it's running Apache. Yes, I know. It's like this, having this hyperactive child, and they're not good for your productivity. They're fun, but they're not good for your productivity. And if you want to be worn out by having a bunch of hyperactive children, go ahead. But if you can dampen that hyperactivity and just get what you need to respond to, and it's really like, yeah, I'll go you out. And then if it's really only the changes, it makes your life a lot more efficient. Okay, I have zero visibility here. Okay.
Do you implement in this tool connectivity to LDAP server or Active Directory server to manage users that can access to the interface, to the information?
So it's not built in. It is something we can add to the roadmap. But for instance, what you could do is set up your web server to do the authentication against LDAP, and that's actually what we have in the office. So we got the web server set up to do the authentication against LDAP, and then we take whatever server credentials we get passed and hold it against our access list.
Do you plan to implement some user roles in case of when I have some findings and want to assign a particular job to fix it to the particular user that is brought to LDAP?
So probably the best thing to do there, and that's in the future, and I'm hoping with a new GUI framework that we have more capabilities of doing tool integrations. So the short answer is not right now. The longer answer is I think it's probably best to create a ticket in a ticket system. So you probably have a ticket system. If it's something like Jira, what we probably can do in the future is say if you've got an issue, you can click a link that will create a ticket in Jira that you assign to somebody to follow up. And then it will only go to gone in the tool if the scanner actually ran again and saw, hey, the finding is gone. So it's really about managing the finding results and not about managing remediation effort. Okay. You can probably see it better than I if there are questions, so I have this evil Death Star in my face. Okay?
Anybody?
Okay, thank you. And
Thank you all.